welcome to another episode of Friends Talking Nerdy. Thank you for tuning in. This is Tim Gelsman. With me, I've got...
My name is Kim.
All right. Before we begin this week's episode, I gotta ask, have you ever had somebody come into your life for a very short period of time, only to realize a couple of years after, they leave your life somehow that they made a pretty significant impact on you?
Yeah, there've been a couple people like that along the way, definitely.
Yeah, well, this week I actually had the chance to run into an old friend by the name of Tracy Flynn. And we had a chance to catch up and whatnot, but one thing catching up with her has allowed me to publicly thank her for helping get this little show off the air. So first of all, if she's listening, which I hope she is, thank you very much. She's an extremely organizational type of person. I mean, I think she would be the first to admit that she's the type of person that has to have everything in her day, planned out to the minute, which when you're creating something like a podcast is a very, very big help. Especially with me being as scattershot as I can be at times, which you know from experience.
Yes.
She, without her, there would be no Friends Talking Nerdy, period, because she is responsible for the name. So, wanted to be able to, finally be able to, publicly thank her for that help. Also, she is a part of Fearlandia. Have you heard about that?
Fearlandia?
Yeah, it is a local. They work every year in October. It's a haunted house, but they've won awards the past few years for just being one of the best haunted houses in Oregon.
So you're talking like a general haunted house? We're not talking about one of those crazy, weird, religious haunted houses.
No, I mean, maybe somebody at the end of the day will hand you a watchtower at the end. I don't know. But no, it's an actual haunted house.
Okay.
They were just recently featured, I believe, on the Coin News, Koin.
Coin.
Yeah, it may have been another one, but anyway, they were featured, and they got one exhibit they have is like dedicated to Thor and whatnot, and they have another one that she was actually involved in where it's like this dark room, there's smoke everywhere, and there's green lasers that make it look like a swamp, and you're going through, and then she and other performers will like pop up, and what she talked about doing is that she actually learned some phrases in Esperanto. And she will just scream them at people. So it sounds,
because nobody knows Esperanto.
Yeah. And
it probably sounds like some kind of weird demon language or something like that.
Pretty much.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, she is yelling like stuff like, have you eaten vegan before or something like that, but people don't know what the fuck's happening. So if you are in the Portland, Oregon area, I highly recommend you check out Fearlandia. They're going to be open on these dates in October, the 11th and 12th. So we're recording this on the 10th. Tomorrow will be a day that they will be open, the 18th, 19th, 24th, 25th, 26th, and imagine that on Halloween itself. The address for the place is 16255 Southwest Upper Boones Ferry Road in Tigard, Oregon. If you use the promo code FTNerdy when you purchase your tickets, absolutely nothing will happen. They're going to look at you stupid and ask you to leave and stuff like that. But definitely recommend you give it a chance, because when you have someone like Tracy aboard kind of leading things, she's the casting director and whatnot, I can assure you it's going to be a tight run ship, because she would not want anything, anything less, I guess. But to the show at hand. Here we go. One thing I wanted to talk about this week is about cancel culture.
What is cancel culture?
Good. I'm glad that you asked. It's something that I feel that's probably been around a lot longer than people recognize, but because of social media being what it is, people are now realizing that their voices are much more powerful than they may have, thought in the past. Meaning, you have situations to where people who are very deserving of having, like, take Louis C.K. When his thing happened, he immediately, lost out on a movie. He had to buy it back from Amazon and, eat a lot of money that way. He was not able to tour, and rightfully so, because,
He's a dick.
For playing with his dick in front of people.
Yes, exactly.
And what, in that particular situation, I think somebody put it best that, if somebody was working at McDonald's and jerking off in front of their fellow employees, they're not going to be allowed back a year later to make Happy Meals. So for something like that, it's more than okay to quote unquote cancel Louis C.K. because keeping him, still financially supporting him without him making lavish efforts to show that he is a changed person. And even then, I totally understand if people don't ever want to have anything to do with him again. That's not something that you can just come back from.
Well, honestly, do people who behave that way really need to make amends, I guess, show that they're a changed person? Honestly, if you behave like that, just go away and don't come back. Just disappear. And if you want to try and make a comeback, let's give us like 10, 20, 30, 50 years, honestly, because I'm sick and tired personally of men just behaving like jerks, like worse than jerks, traumatizing other people, women, men, other people in general, and then thinking that they can just apologize and everything's going to be fine. No, if you're going to behave in a way that you know is wrong, and these people have to know that they're behaving in a way that's wrong. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, you have to be a complete and total dumbass if you don't realize that what you're doing is wrong and think that you can get away with it. No, you don't get to come back from that.
Agreed. For somebody like that. But there are other times to where somebody could just be talking. Like Dave Chappelle, for instance, his latest Netflix special, he got into some trouble with the transgender community for some jokes that he made during his performance. Now, there's a slippery slope I see with cancel culture that people, I think, need to take a deep breath before they react. It's case by case. Something like Louis C.K. is pretty clear cut. Fuck that guy.
Same with Bill Cosby too.
Yeah, of course. Even though his stupid wife, Bill Cosby's in jail for rape, convicted of rape, yet his wife is like still using his Twitter like, America's dad wants you to shut the fuck up, go away.
Why doesn't Twitter shut that down?
He's verified. I mean, they're allowing the president essentially to threaten civil war. So
yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. So something like Bill Cosby is probably not high on their priority list. But
still,
let's take somebody I'm familiar with. I know you have no idea who it is, apart from the few times you've heard me listen to his podcast. Somebody by the name of Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette will go down as one of the greatest wrestling managers of all time. He has the sharpest wit. He was a bad guy manager, so he was an expert at getting you to hate him. But during his podcast, he walks a weird tightrope. I don't know how to explain it, because he has this thing about, being upset at how wrestling is presented today, how the performers today are much more likely to call themselves performance artists, which they really are. I mean, they are athletes, yes, but they're, if they're creating a story, they're performance artists.
Why don't they just call themselves like athlete performers or
sports entertainers?
Well, yeah, there's lots of words you could use.
Yeah.
I mean.
But his point is that, and I see what he's saying, and I sort of agree with it, in the general sense that the more successful performers are the ones that essentially live their gimmicks. Like Chris Jericho, for instance, who's the new AEW World Champion. If you were to encounter him in public, if you were to encounter him on social media, he's going to react to you the way his character would react to you. Whereas other performers, there's a performer who works for Impact Wrestling and also does work on the independents. Her ring name is Jordan Grace. Her real name, Trisha Parker. And that caused a big stink with Jim Cornette, because in his mind, if you're going by this name, you should be that person.
All the time.
All the time.
Well, I mean, I can understand, like, because when you step into certain careers like acting, things like that, and you become a public figure, you kind of in a way have to be on when you're out and about and in public, and like even if you're just like going to the grocery store or going out to dinner, you still kind of have to be on.
Mm-hmm.
But people using stage names, that is a long tradition. I don't see anything wrong with people using a stage name. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. And, to me, it comes down to this when it comes to the performers in the ring. If they have to realize, the audience goes in with a suspension of disbelief. It's like magic. Somebody going to see David Copperfield, 99% of that audience knows that it's an illusion, that there's a lot of work that goes into presenting what you are seeing as if it were magic. We're not even going to talk about the 1% that, believe that wrestling's still real or that magic is somehow the dark arts or something like that. But it would be comparable. His point is that the performers have to recognize that, and because he feels that what performers are doing today would essentially be like Mark Hamill in the new Star Wars movie, halfway through a scene, just breaking up laughing and turning to the camera and saying something to the audience as Mark Hamill and not Luke Skywalker.
But that's not going to happen.
Well, he doesn't like certain performers. Like there's a performer by the name of Joey Ryan who I don't know if you've necessarily seen his clip, but his famous move is where a performer will, for whatever reason, grab his penis in the ring. And what Joey Ryan will do is just start going, like flexing his muscles. Yeah. And then with the power of his penis, flip that guy. Cornette doesn't like that.
Well,
he thinks it exposes the business. And I, on the other hand, see Joey Ryan is a smart guy. Joey Ryan knows the audience he's going for. What Joey Ryan does on his own would never fly at AEW, would never fly at WWE. You're not going to have a nationally broadcast television show where guys are grabbing each other's dicks and flipping around each other. That does not mean that, some people can't find it humorous and, see that content on their own. But you have someone like Jim Cornette who will just be super upset, and then he goes overboard.
He just sounds... it sounds like he's making a mountain out of a molehill.
He definitely is. In my opinion,
what is the point in even stressing about this stuff? It's pointless and it's stupid.
When it comes to him, I think he very clearly knows who his audience is, and I think he believes everything he's saying, but I think he's hyping it up to level 10.
This sounds a lot to me kind of like how people who play like online video games get really, really invested in what they're doing, and some people get really, really into it, and they just can't seem to separate, oh, hey, this is what's happening here is just a game. Oh, no, you didn't get the sword. It went to somebody else. They start flipping out and wigging out, and it's still just a game. It's not, in the grand scheme of things, it's a minor blip. Well, and it sounds to me like this guy is just taking his entertainment way too seriously.
He is, because he starts becoming problematic in certain points. I told you about his comments. There's a performer in AEW by the name of Sonny Kiss. Openly gay. Openly gay performer. Cornette apparently didn't know this, but with Sonny's ring attire, he made a comment that, he looked like someone that should be dancing at the Tropicana or something like that, which a lot of people were offended about. Rightfully so.
I don't know. There are so much worse things to be offended by.
Well, recently though, that I can take as an older guy saying something that he didn't think was too out there, but modern sensibilities being what they are, he got corrected fast. big problem I have with him recently, though, is that he was talking about last week. He was talking about AEW's first episode. They crowned their first women's champion, and the woman who won it was a Japanese performer by the name of Riho. I know nothing about her. Some of Cornette's comments have been spot on with AEW in terms of. I do agree with the fact that AEW has not been as good as I feel they should be in terms of introducing these people to the mass audience, because hardcore wrestling fans know who a lot of these people are, but we're talking TNT, we're talking nationally, we're talking they gotta be able to grab those casual wrestling fans that may know who Hulk Hogan is or John Cena is, but don't watch every week. They don't go to any websites and read anything. Problem, though, is that Cornette went overboard. He claimed that the only reason she won that title is that there's a performer who works for AEW as well, who also is an executive vice president, and he's in charge of the women's division. He claimed the only reason Riho won that championship was that she was sleeping with that guy.
Oh, God. This again? Because this is just a theme for women in general. I mean, pretty much a lot of women that I know have been accused of sleeping their way to the top at least once in any kind of setting, like in regular work, real life work life, in the land of online video games. Like, oh yeah, she gets to go on the raid because she had cyber sex with the raid leader. I've heard that before in my days of playing EverQuest and World of Warcraft, that sort of thing. Just stuff like that. And it's so ridiculous and stupid. I don't get why.
The thing, though, is this. The one thing I don't like about cancel culture is that a lot of times I see, at least on a social media aspect, a lot of people proclaiming left and right that, this person should not be doing this. Like, a lot of people with Cornette's comments in the past, he shouldn't have a show, he shouldn't do this. Yet, all it's really doing is giving him publicity. He's had a lot more people listening to his show lately than ever before. He's had a lot more people buy his merchandise from his website. At what point do we have to recognize that a lot of people that are making comments of, this performer is bad because they said this, or this performer is bad because they said that, at what point is it grandstanding by the person making those social media comments? And at what point do we just say for somebody, and I'm not talking about Cornette or anybody else we've talked so far, at what point do we just say, he was an asshole for making a stupid comment, but I'm going to go on? Or if you don't like a certain person because of what they say and don't want to listen to them anymore, should you be patted on the back because you publicly came out and quoted some stuff and essentially gave that person free publicity? Why not just stop listening?
Well, I think most rational people do that. They just stop listening, but we don't know about it because they don't make a big declaration to the world. I mean, declaration, whatever.
Go dig in your butt. No.
But then again, some people feel the need to swing those genitals around. So I guess declaration works.
Yeah.
But I know an example for myself, actually. Back when Chris Brown was getting all kinds of attention because, well, he's an asshole and a wife beater, yet somehow he still has a career. Anyway, he was getting a bunch of attention, and there was a drag performer online that was saying, "Oh, I don't care, he's so handsome, blah blah blah. He can smack my face anytime," or something to that effect. And I was just like, you know what? That's stupid and ridiculous. You're basically just sort of dismissing the fact that he is an abuser. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I didn't say anything. I just unfollowed. I was like, I don't feel the need to listen to anything else you say. So I unfollowed him, and I didn't say anything. I just, I do that all the time. There's people that I'll follow for a while, and I'll be like, you know what? You don't have anything constructive to say. I don't know why I followed you in the first place. Unfollow.
Ding. That's, ideally, in a perfect world, that's what should be happening.
And I think that is what's happening. It's just that the loudmouths, they're loudmouths, and so they scream and yell and shout, and you hear about that, but I'm sure for every person who's screaming and yelling, there's probably 3 more that are just in the background going, I don't get what the fuss is about. I don't agree with them. I don't want to listen to them. Click.
It's, I think of Howard Stern as well. I mean, for years, Howard is a lot tamer than he used to be, thanks to therapy and whatnot, but there was a time where Howard Stern was the most controversial figure in radio. I mean, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
And it was proven many, many, many times over that he had just as many people that were listening and hating every word that he said. Those people would tend to listen to the show more. I don't get that mindset. If you listen to somebody and you don't like what they say, turn it off. Go invest your time in something else.
But some people just, I don't know, I guess they enjoy being miserable.
They enjoy being miserable.
I guess maybe also too is they want to listen and hear for themselves the first time that the person fails or falls. I mean, that's kind of like me in a way. I watched Dancing with the Stars a couple times just because there were people on there that I didn't like. Mm-hmm. I wanted to watch them just so I could see if they fell on their asses. And it's true, I've done that before.
Break a leg, Sean Spicer.
No. No, I should have been watching for that, but no, this is like years ago, back when I still had cable TV. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've found as I've gotten, and also I think it could be a generational thing, as I've gotten older, there are much more important things that are on my mind that I'm concerned about. And I would much rather let most of the negative stuff just drop off and focus on the positive stuff, because as you get older, you find life is hard. Mm-hmm. And getting older isn't fun because your body starts to hurt and ache. And I'd much rather focus on the good things about life in general and try to not focus on the bad things, because then it makes getting through the bad things that much harder. If you've got nothing but negativity in your life, it makes everything that much worse.
It's part of negativity, and a lot of it too is another common phrase you'll hear on social media: virtue signaling. The type of people that, I would never do that, pat on the back type of deal, when you don't know these people personally. They could easily be doing that left and right. Because it's like somebody who gets in trouble for just saying, like the guy who was hired and then fired recently from Saturday Night Live from saying some stupid racist stuff. Are you a better person because you publicly came out and said, I will not watch if that guy's on a show? Or just don't watch. Don't pat yourself on the back. Don't look for that hug just because you can say, among all the other thousands of people out there, that what that guy said was bad. No kidding. And yes, it should be acknowledged. I'm not saying it should be hidden or anything like that. I believe if somebody is that egregious with their language or anything else, it should have a spotlight put on it. But it's a problem that's not going to be solved, I guess. But it's just something that always just frustrates me, because people do have a right to make comments. I'm not saying that, but a lot of times these comments just tend more towards, I'm a better human being because I can publicly say that this person did something wrong. If you get my drift.
Yeah, I do get your drift. Yeah, I just feel that, I think, maybe 20 years ago I was younger and angrier, and I hadn't experienced or seen or lived through as much as I have now. I probably would have been one of those people, just like, with a pitchfork in hand on the internet, screaming from the rooftops and, let's light the torches, burn them down, that sort of thing. But
yeah,
and also too, you can vote with your wallet.
And that's the big thing too, because I know you have some people like the director of the Joker movie, Todd Phillips, who swears up and down that he can't do comedy anymore because of the woke culture. And then you have someone like Mark Maron coming out and telling him he's an idiot, because it's not that you don't have comedians out there, whether it's comedians in film or comedians doing stand-up, that are not taking some major risks. What I think, and what Mark directly mentioned this, is that we as a culture are now realizing that a lot of what we found funny in the past was just there to hurt people.
Exactly. Words can hurt. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't think very much before they speak. And the thing is that we really should be more mindful about what we say in a lot of ways. I mean, there's no reason to go around just saying things to be hurtful. There's just no reason for it. And
there's no reason. That doesn't mean that, all humor should be like Full House and cheery.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You can be like dark and gross and stuff, but you can do it without being just offensive and mean and rude and terrible.
Even then, you have somebody like Gilbert Gottfried. One of my favorite jokes from him, and he has many different variations of it because there's no one set way to tell this joke. But have you ever heard Gilbert Gottfried do the Aristocrats joke?
Oh, God, yeah, I have.
And George Carlin, too, had some, comments about it. There is, I believe the album was called Patently Offensive or something like that, or Parental Advisory, but he talked about, just how people, when they're telling a joke, a lot of times they don't realize how to set up a joke properly. The point of a good joke is the exaggeration, because he mentioned the topic of rape and how rape can't be funny, but he said, imagine Porky Pig raping Elmer Fudd. That may be a little funny,
No, not really.
Well, still. It was funny when George Carlin said it.
Well, George Carlin was one of a kind.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I don't think anybody can really
You can't top that, yeah.
But, yeah, I don't find any kind of rape humor funny at all.
Understandable. At the end of the day, my feeling is people should be called out for stupid things that are said, myself included.
Yeah, that rape joke was really stupid, by the way.
Shut up. No. I'm kidding. To me, I do think people do need to take a quick breath before they react, depending on what happened. If we're talking a Louis C.K. deal, grab those pitchforks. I'll be in the front of the line. If we're talking about somebody who just said something stupid, or like Dave Chappelle told a joke that didn't go over well with people, you can be upset. You can get on social media and be like, come on, you can do better, but at what point is it you making a comment about somebody that did do something stupid? When does it become, if it becomes you just essentially patting yourself on the back because you can acknowledge that, is it really worth saying?
Probably not. A lot of times too, just in general with commenting online, type it out, think about it, basically type it out, count to 10, and read it through again. And if you read it through again and you think there's things you want to change and stuff, you probably don't need to make the comment.
Exactly.
I know there's been times when I've been really angry and typed out something, and then I stopped and I looked at it, and I counted to 10, and I just sort of looked at it again. And I'm like, you know what? It's not worth getting upset about. I do that with work emails too. I have a lot of things in my drafts folder that I should probably delete.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to a much more chipper topic.
Ooh, chipper.
Yes.
Chipper. Yes, I am a huge fan of drag, the art of drag in general. I've been a big fan of RuPaul's Drag Race since season 1, and that was 10 years ago, 10 some odd years ago, because now we are up to season 12 is coming soon of RuPaul's Drag Race. There have been 4 seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars as well, and I guess a season 5 is in the works. So much drag, so little time. That's what I gotta say. And right now, there's sort of a drag renaissance happening, because at the moment, there are 3 active drag shows available online.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know, it's crazy. So you have the RuPaul's Drag Race UK, the very first edition of the UK version. It started last week. And you can watch it in the United States on WoW Presents Plus, which is a streaming service. And it is, it's very cheap. It's $3.99 a month or $39.99 for a whole year. And it's available through all the major platforms on your devices and on your computer. And it has everything that World of Wonder, WoW, has produced. And they're the producers of RuPaul's Drag Race. So it is chock full of queer content, let me tell you. I love it. It's worth the money. Because if you think about it, $4 a month. If you're like, well, I can't afford to skip a latte. There you go. Yeah. You've got hours upon hours upon hours of things to watch.
And let's not forget one thing too. There is an app as well. It's also a website, Pluto TV, free to download. It's essentially a free television. It's essentially free cable service that you get. And one of the channels that they have, RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, that's good to know. So on WoW Presents Plus right now, you can watch RuPaul's Drag Race UK. I just watched the second episode.
Tell us about it.
I don't want to give spoilers. I hate spoilers. I'm one of those people. I hate spoilers. But let me tell you, it is it's a quality cast of drag queens. They are really great. And what is absolutely excellent about UK, the guest judges. The first episode, they had Andrew Garfield as a guest judge. Spider-Man, yes. And he was flirting with the contestants. It was so fun to watch. Oh my gosh. Enjoyable. Second episode, Graham Norton and Maisie Williams were the guest judges.
Graham's fucking annoying. I don't like that guy.
You don't like Graham Norton? No. I love Graham Norton. Maisie Williams played Arya on Game of Thrones.
Never saw it.
She's a great actress. She is a really great actress.
I think I know who you're talking about. I mean, quite pretty and whatnot, but I haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything, period.
Well, I like Game of Thrones. Yeah. I love the books, and Arya was my favorite character in the books, my favorite character in the show. It was really fun to see her not as Arya, just being herself, and it was very fun to watch. Mm-hmm. One of the negatives about the UK version is there's kind of a lack of diversity in the cast,
which is surprising. I know you mentioned that, and I think back to some of the British shows I see, like Doctor Who from the new run. Like Doctor Who has been amazing in terms of diversity of its talent.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of like on Supergirl. There's the guy who plays Martian Manhunter, David something or other. I forgot his name, but he was on season 4 of Doctor Who. He's an African American gentleman. Just he looks like a rich, smart guy, type of deal. And then you have Freema Agyeman. She played Martha Jones. She was,
I know who she is.
She was in Sense8. That first scene with her in Sense8, my God.
Yeah. So Drag Race. A little bit of the lack of diversity in the cast. I was very surprised there wasn't at least one person of Indian descent because of the colonial history of India and England. Mm-hmm. There are people from all over England, which is cool. All parts of England. And there's basically a bunch of white queens, one black queen, and one Asian queen.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little distracting, to me at least, just because the last couple of episodes of the American version were really diverse. It was basically like us. Yeah, it was all over the place in terms of people, mm-hmm. which was cool. But I'm very much enjoying the 2 episodes that have come out. I'm having a good time with it. There are some really, really fun queens to watch. One is named Bag of Chips. Bag of Chips, I love her. Oh, she's great. She's just so over the top. I like her. And the Vivienne, I think, is definitely on track to win it all. Mm-hmm. She's very cool too. And Vinegar Strokes. I know the names are just great. These names are just great. Vinegar Strokes is great too. Miss Vivienne has a tattoo like Tim's Superman tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, the names, there's someone I follow on Twitter who is a drag queen in the Northern California area, the Bay Area, Pollo Del Mar.
Yeah, drag names are so fun. And I love drag names.
Also, I actually used to work with a gentleman. His real name is the greatest porn name ever, Andrew Steele. If I were a porn actor, I would definitely steal that name. You ready to feel the steel? But his drag name is, he's really inspired by Britney Spears. He goes by Megan Pixel. But go ahead.
No, Drag Race UK, worth watching. I think it might be on BBC America as well. I know it's on WoW Presents Plus, and honestly, I think that a subscription to that is worth your money. What else also on WoW Presents Plus is season 2 of Drag Race Thailand. Now, if you missed season 1 of Drag Race Thailand, you missed something special. That was amazing. I absolutely loved Drag Race Thailand Season 1, and I'm so excited about Season 2. We are down to the top 5 girls on Season 2 of Drag Race Thailand. And, oh my god, it is just... so good. The outfits are so good. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. They are just amazing. These outfits are amazing. The 2 hosts, Art Aria and Pangina Heels, they are so freaking hilarious. They have the best chemistry. I love them. Oh, Drag Race Thailand. You have to watch it. And yes, it is in Thai, but there are subtitles. And sometimes the subtitles don't quite make sense. The sentence structure is a little bit off, but you're going to get the gist, and it's all about the outfits and the presentation and the runway and having a good time. And what's cool about Drag Race Thailand is it almost should be called Drag Race Asia, because it's not just people from Thailand. They bring in a lot of people from all over Asia. Mm-hmm. We've had Japanese contestants, we've had Korean contestants, we've had mixed race contestants, we've had Chinese contestants, and some of them speak English. They don't speak any Thai. And it's interesting. It's very interesting to see all the diversity and how they like to differentiate a little bit between the Thai contestants and the international contestants, which is a little bit fun.
In a lot of ways, drag kind of reminds me of professional wrestling, which is interesting because, the people I mentioned, Megan Pixel and Ployle Del Mar, huge wrestling fans. I mean, Ployle Del Mar actually has a wonderful podcast called Arm Drag Takedown, where he talks about wrestling each and every week, and he's also involved in Northern California. He calls himself the first lady of the Northern California wrestling scene.
That's cool.
And what I like about it, though, and I think that what the parallels are, is that it's a matter of creating a character and living that character. Mm-hmm. That's why I have deep respect for what they do, because to be able to put on those outfits, the makeup, the hair, and all that, you got to become, you're essentially trying to become somebody else.
You are becoming somebody else. And what's fun about the Drag Race shows is you see the people in and out of drag. Mm-hmm. And you don't get to see that generally when you're talking about drag queens outside of the TV shows. It is interesting. It's fun to watch the transformation. That is half the fun, is seeing the transformation from boy to girl or from girl to girl. Because what's cool about Drag Race Thailand is they have some transgender contestants this year. Ooh, nice. This season they have a couple of transgender contestants, and it's basically, there was like no big deal. It just seemed like there was really no big deal made about it. It's just like, yeah, we've got a couple of transgender contestants. Cool. No big deal. It was cool. I've definitely been enjoying that. Sometimes, though, you have to understand that with Drag Race Thailand, you do have a cultural divide, because it is in Thailand. The hosts are from Thailand, and so a lot of the guest judges are famous in Thai and Asian culture, and I haven't heard of them before, but it's making me Google things and discover people I hadn't heard of before, which has been fun. Nice. But some of the challenges are based around things like Thai mythology, things in Thai culture I might not understand. They do a pretty good job explaining things, but at the same time, it can be a little, you're just kind of like, I'm not quite sure what's happening here. But at the same time, it's still fun to watch. The whole show is just fun. So that is the second show that's currently showing.
There's more?
There's more.
Oh my goodness.
The third one,
we're going to whore it up and watch some more.
Dragula. The Boulay Brothers Dragula. This is season 3 that's happening now.
Did they take the the Rob Zombie song for the theme?
No. Okay. They have their own theme song. All right. It's a very good theme song, actually. But so Dragula, 3rd season. This is available currently streaming on Amazon Prime, along with seasons 1 and 2. All worth watching. The contestants are very fun to watch. Season 3, they brought in some drag kings as well as the drag queens. Ooh. They had a couple of contestants that are basically drag kings, transgender as well. Mm-hmm. So fun. Dragula is different from Drag Race because it's more based on trash queens, horror, zombies, just dark. It's a lot darker. Okay. But we're in the fall. It's Halloween time. It's a perfect time to watch Dragula. If
Yep.
you like drag and you like Halloween, you should be watching Dragula.
There we go.
It is fun to watch. It is so fun. The Boulet brothers have been hosting drag shows all over the country for years and years and years, and their costumes are frigging amazing. They bring in guest judges from cult classic horror movies, other drag performers that have been on Drag Race, and also just working in the independent drag scene for years. Like Peaches Christ has been a guest. She's amazing. And it's so fun to watch. They had a challenge this season that was based on fantasy characters, like a bunch of characters from video games, going on a quest, and had to do an acting challenge where they were on the quest dressed as like elves and mages, and oh my gosh, that was a great episode. That was so much fun to watch.
Nice.
So I have a couple of favorite performers on this show, and I've been following this on Twitter too. And my absolute favorite that I think may win is Landon Sider, and he's one of the drag kings they have this season. I have two other favorites. I like Priscilla, and I like Louisiana Purchase. Okay. Yes, there's a character named Louisiana Purchase. She's great too. She's from I think she's originally from Louisiana, but she lives currently in Texas.
Louisiana.
So yeah, she's great too. She's got like all kinds of tattoos like all over, and she just kind of incorporates them into her looks. She had a look, I don't want to give spoilers, but her Candy Striper look that she did recently was amazing.
Okay.
Amazing. God, yeah, Dragula's great. Dragula's a great show. If you like drag at all, you should be watching all three of these shows. Let me tell you, you've got it's so good. So good. And
oh my God.
All this stuff is happening, and I know that there's another season of RuPaul's Drag Race just coming up around the corner too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure by the time that all these shows are finishing up, it'll be time for more Drag Race. And I don't know about you, but everybody I think has their thing that they like watching that just makes them feel happy.
Wrestling.
Good.
Wrestling for me. I mean,
for Tim, it's wrestling. He loves wrestling. Me, it's Drag Race. I love watching Drag Race. And all the seasons are like on Amazon. Like seasons, I think 1 through 5 are free right now on Amazon Prime. I've personally bought the seasons on Amazon because I don't need cable TV. So I just buy the season passes. And then I can watch them as much as I want forever. And
Isn't it great to do that? Because buying TV shows, like I love how like on Amazon or on Apple, you can buy them individually. And I think of it just like when you're a kid and you get like your 50 cents or $1 allowance, and then you go to the store and buy a comic book. Mm-hmm. You do that every week. Do that with that, because you're paying, instead of watching it on regular quote unquote TV, you're directly giving money to artists that are making content that you like.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing.
That's why I do it, is because, and a lot of people are like, but I can't afford it. And I'm just like, you know what? I try to like set aside a little bit of money to make myself happy, because if I'm not happy, then I'm just not going to be a productive member of society. It's going to make me just a terrible person to be around. Seriously, if I don't have like that release, that sort of place that I can kind of go mentally and just sort of, relax.
I think of, I'll paraphrase The Simpsons here, all work and no play make Kim something something. Go crazy? Don't mind if I do.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's true. It's true. We all need our escapes. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's Drag Race and Elder Scrolls Online. Those are my escapes.
There we go.
And they cost a little bit of money, but
it's worth it. You're supporting you're supporting artists that are making content that makes your life better. Even because like with the stuff I watch, I mean, I know wrestling is not high art. I know John Wick is not high art, but it's escapist. You can go to a wrestling show. You can go to a movie, and for those 2, 3, 4 hours, depending on which one you go to, you're just lost in that world.
Plus, we all know that real life sucks right now. The world is crashing and burning, literally crashing and burning. We've got a person in office who's acting a fool, to be short and sweet about it, acting a fool, and is liable to...
Not liable to. He's gotten people killed already.
He has gotten people killed. He's probably going to push us into war with someone, if not with each other.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely ridiculous. And if you spend too much time... I mean, everybody should be aware of these things. But if you spend too much time focusing on it, if you're like me, it's going to get to you. And it's going to start affecting other things in your life. It's going to start affecting your personal relationships. It's going to affect how you act at work. It's going to affect a lot of things. And everybody needs some way to escape. For some people, it's comic books. Some people, it's just reading. Some people, it's watching trashy reality TV. For me, it's Drag Race and Elder Scrolls Online.
Mm-hmm.
For Tim, it's wrestling. We all have our little things we have to do to stay sane.
Yep.
And I'm recommending my favorite way, which is Drag Race. Drag Race and drag in general. Drag Race, Dragula. It's all out there, and it's good stuff.
And black tar heroin. No, I'm kidding.
No, we do not recommend heroin. Heroin is bad. Heroin is bad.
The more you know.
Yeah, exactly. The more you know.
Okay. Let's talk about, since we already talked about TV here.
Yeah.
Growing up in a single parent household, my sister and I were latchkey kids, and, sometimes we would have a babysitter, but 9 times out of 10, the babysitter for us was the television.
Yep, it was the same with me. My parents were together up until I was 19, but they both worked, and so at a certain age, my sister and I had the responsibility of staying home alone in the afternoon, and TV and homework together.
Yeah, I mean, and me, throughout the years, I can guarantee I've seen more TV than most of the people I know combined.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fact. I can bring out obscure, trivia tidbits about TV shows that people have never heard. Like last week, Out of This World, that TV show that you barely remembered. And that's just because I spent more time doing that than doing stuff like sports. My mother didn't like us going out. At least me. My sister got out, and she got out more often. But, a lot of times it's just me sitting at home watching show after show after show.
And this was way back before the internet.
Yeah.
And streaming services where you can actually choose what you want to watch. You just watched what was on.
Yeah. And that is... I'm glad we don't have that, but there is something to be said about not having everything you want whenever you want it as well when it comes to entertainment.
Yeah, that's true, because when you can pick and choose what you want, you can miss out on some gems here and there.
Exactly. But one good thing about a good TV show are the theme songs.
Oh, definitely.
And I think today, for shows today, just because of streaming being what it is, a lot of times you don't hear about too many good modern TV show theme songs. I'm not saying they're not out there. I'm not saying I watch a lot of current television, so if there is something that is really good, feel free to go to, Twitter. Our handle is @FTNerdy, or what's your Twitter handle?
@KimTheGeek.
You can tell us if there's something that we missed here, but I put it out on my social media platforms. I asked people to give me some television theme songs that meant something to them, because I came up with my own list. I came up with the top 5, but I wanted to get some input. So we'll go over what that social media input is first. First, we got Gaia McLean, a former coworker of mine at Apple. One of the few people that I do miss there, because Apple, I'm glad I'm gone.
That sounds like a tagline almost for a commercial. Because there are some places that I've worked where it's like, I don't really want to say, but it's in my industry, it's a small industry. You don't want to burn bridges, but
for me, I don't care, because there were some great people like Gaia. One thing about Gaia is that if you ever met her, on the surface, you think she's just nice and sweet and, just nice and happy throughout, but she's one of the most sarcastic people I've ever met.
Oh, I just thought of a good one for a place I used to work.
What?
Well, and it's not high school.
Okay.
So, Wendy's, you'll go home greasy. Yep. I would walk in the door, my sister would be like, you stink, go take a shower.
You get an old credit card and
no, seriously, you could do that. I mean, I could take my fingers and run them down my face and just like, oh, look at all that crap.
This is the triple burger.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, here's like the fried chicken sandwich on one cheek, the triple burger on the other. Yeah, it was pretty gross. Anyway,
I'll just say this for Apple. There were some great people I met there, some people that I still count as friends, even if our paths never cross again. Like there's going to be true any place else. But there were also some people, to use an old Southern phrase, I wouldn't piss in their ear if their brains were on fire. Just awful people.
Say bless their heart. Bless their heart.
I like the piss in the ear deal better. I got that from Bill Clinton. That's in his memoirs. That's in his memoirs.
Well, Bill Clinton was into some kinky shit, so it wouldn't surprise me that he would say something like that.
Like the Ken Starr deal with the cigar, Ken Starr report with the cigar, that tastes nice.
Yeah, he's into some kinky shit.
Anyway, we go from that to talking about Gaia's Choice. She talked about the X-Files.
Oh, that does have a good theme song.
Great theme song.
That sort of do-do-do-do, and you're just like, ooh, this is going to be creepy. And it is.
Yeah, and, I went to school where Gillian Anderson went to school. Actually, was taught by some of the same professors she met. She came from, lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan for a long time. So, she's kind of a local hero there. Someone else who commented, one of the hosts of Nerd On podcast. I used to work with them at Apple as well, Thomas Petborisuth. And again, if you are hearing this, Thomas, and I mispronounced your name, let me know. I apologize in advance. But the theme songs he mentioned were Goosebumps, Growing Pains, Who's the Boss, Family Matters, not Family Members. Never saw Goosebumps, Growing Pains, Who's the Boss, and Family Members. My mother loved those shows. I hated them.
Who's the Boss was all right. Very young Alyssa Milano.
Now, my first celebrity crush.
Yeah.
Her and Debbie Gibson.
Who's the Boss was all right. Now, see, Growing Pains, I had a huge crush on Kirk Cameron way back when. And, yeah, I know, this was before we all knew he was batshit crazy. So, yeah, now I'm just kind of like, going, wow, I really did have questionable taste in men, and I can say that about a lot of guys that I've dated. I have had questionable taste in men. So, yeah, Growing Pains and Family Ties for me, they had those really schmaltzy love song theme songs, but they fit.
Yeah.
It fit the show.
Family Ties was better. It was just overall just a better show.
Well, yeah, Family Ties was a much better show than Growing Pains. That's undisputable.
I mean, there's
better quality of actor.
Michael J. Fox. I mean, that goes without saying. I mean, it's
and Meredith Baxter Burney.
Michael Gross. I mean, everybody in that cast was great. It was
a great cast.
Whereas with, Growing Pains, Leonardo DiCaprio was on the show for a season, but...
He played... Yeah, I remember his character. He was just this little...
Oh, Brad Pitt was on the show, too.
Was he?
He played a love interest to the daughter on the show, Tracy Gold, the actress.
Yeah.
But yeah, just nothing of any real substance on that show. It's like a grilled cheese sandwich compared to, somebody taking the time to like toast bread specifically, getting a special type of like mayo or mustard and, putting some real effort into making.
So basically it's like a filet mignon versus like a McDonald's hamburger.
Yeah, nothing wrong with either. But
you just have to be in the mood for it.
Exactly.
Or be able to afford it.
And something like Growing Pains just, not my thing.
Not your thing.
Yeah. Who's the Boss is okay because one actress I do love on there, Catherine Hellman.
Oh, yeah. Brazil.
For me, I never saw that. For me, I'm not a big Terry Gilliam fan.
We'll have to fix that at some point.
I loved her on Soap.
Oh, yeah. I never really watched Soap, but I've heard many, many good things about Soap.
I know one of the early episodes that we did, when we did our first two-parter, I had it cut off where... somebody was talking about, talking to a classmate, and then they ended the question, well, are you gay? And then, will we find out next week that this person, I love that. It was a good show. But another person who reached out was my sister, Colleen. If you want to know what she looks like me with hair and boobs. So that's what she looks like. Anyway, the first choice that she picked, this gives me like PTSD every time I hear it. The Golden Girls theme song.
Oh, Oh, the Golden Girl theme song is iconic.
But my sister, my God, every time it came on the air, Saturday night, 8 o'clock, NBC, she would jump up in front of the TV, just stare at the TV, and start dancing and singing to that damn song. It's just like, shut the fuck up.
Thank you for being a friend, Tim.
No.
Travel down the road and back again.
No.
Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
Not much longer if you keep going.
I agree with your sister. That's a great theme song. That's a great show.
Great show.
Is amazing.
Great show. The theme song, just because of having to live through the horror of her singing. No, my personal taste. But another one she recommended, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That's a good one.
I
never really liked the show though, but I love the theme song.
The show was like a good McDonald's burger. Let's say a Burgerville burger. Just
Burgerville. No, it's not Burgerville level.
What is it?
It's like McDonald's level. It's like everybody kind of likes it, but I don't know. Everybody kind of likes McDonald's, but you kind of have to be in the mood for it.
True. The thing with the Fresh Prince, that was the first time that I ever learned a rapper's real name. Remember grabbing the TV guide and like looking through into like the new show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with rapper Will Smith, and I'm like, who the fuck is that's the Fresh Prince? Come on, I mean, if you lived in the '80s and you loved hip hop during that era, he's the DJ and I'm a rapper from the Fresh DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince is one hell of a great album, underrated.
It is.
It's as a musician, he was a product of his time. Will Smith was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince were not going to last.
They were very 90s. They were very of the moment.
They were. Doesn't mean they were bad at all.
No,
there were a lot of bands who fall in that category.
They were pretty good, but they were definitely of the moment.
Yeah, but there's one song from that album I like. It's like, they're too damn hype. We're too damn hype. We're too damn hype.
Well, and everybody at the time, because that came out when I was in high school, and everybody, the parents just don't understand. Everyone could get behind that song. Because parents just don't understand.
But that's a modern day. They did with that song what Alice Cooper did with School's Out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they tapped into that childhood thing. But another one she recommended. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have
the facts of life.
The facts of life. Another.
That's a great show too. That would be in my list.
One of George Clooney's first shows. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have the Jeffersons, of course.
Oh yeah.
Gilligan's Island. Yeah, Gilligan's Island, which over time, I mean, I know the word. I know all the words to that song.
Well, that's the thing is that a lot of shows of the time of Gilligan's Island, there was kind of like the story theme songs.
Yeah. Versus
like just sort of theme songs. And I kind of like the story theme song ones because it sort of tells you what you're about to watch. Yeah, exactly.
Here's a story.
Like Brady Bunch, exactly. That's on tops on my list because I loved the Brady Bunch. It was one of those shows that it was always on when I got home from school. I watched it every single day when I was a child. Yeah. Every day.
Another one she mentioned wasn't on my list, but I do absolutely love the band. They're one of my favorite bands. The theme song to the Monkees.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I mean, everybody pretty much can go, hey, we're the Monkees.
Well, they did much better work than that. I mean, I'm, just like one of my favorite movies is a movie they did called Head.
Yep.
And written by Jack Nicholson. If you want to experience what it's like being on LSD without taking that drug, watch that movie. The music, though, some of the most beautiful music I've ever heard made. I mean, if you hear one song from the Monkees, look for Porpoise Song. You will not regret it. Someone else who came with a recommendation, Anthony Esteves, one of the hosts of the Capeless Crusaders podcast. He recommended a Western called High Chaparral.
I don't think I've heard that.
I haven't heard it either, and unfortunately, I didn't take the time to do the research to go to YouTube to find it out. So after the show's done, I may go to YouTube and be like, that's the greatest song ever, but I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, too, with Western shows, a lot of those Western shows, like Bonanza and stuff, I never really got into. They seemed...
It's...
I don't know. I tried to watch him a few times. My dad liked him.
Yeah, my mom liked them, like Bonanza. She had a huge crush on Michael Landon, so
I think there were quite a few women of our mother's generation who had crushes on Michael Landon.
Yeah, I mean, she would... I mean, Little House on the Prairie, we've seen virtually... My sister and I probably seen virtually every episode.
I think I've seen every episode.
Highway to Heaven, we had to watch that. Reruns of Bonanza. So for the longest time, I wouldn't, want to watch, a Western or anything like that. It's only been recently, thanks to watching stuff like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, of course. My God, what an amazing movie. Some of the best music ever made for...
Yeah.
Anyway, another person that reached out, a friend of mine, Jen Raywalt. She mentioned The Twilight Zone.
Oh, yeah, that's just iconic. Everybody knows the Twilight Zone theme song. Even if you've never seen the Twilight Zone,
you know that theme song.
You know the theme song.
It's just one of the most recognizable deals. And then, you were about to enter a dimension.
Yeah, and then, like, a lot of times, even, like, if someone says something that's kind of spooky or whatever, people will be like, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And everyone, like, knows what that is. Yep.
All right, my Aunt Sharon, of all people, came up with a couple of recommendations. She said this one wasn't necessarily her favorite, but she did mention it, so I'll say it. Make Room for Daddy with Danny Thomas. It was, oh, Danny boy.
Oh, yeah. Gosh. It's been so long since I've seen an episode of that.
Yeah. And from another one she mentioned was Thanks for the Memories, because Bob Hope has had TV shows.
Oh, yes,
and of
that's
course,
right.
That is another... The theme he used throughout his entire career from the 30s until he retired and passed away. Another former co-worker of mine at Apple, Hannah Edelson, she said the theme for Lost, which I didn't necessarily know it had a theme.
It did.
Okay.
It had credits and it had a theme.
Yep. She mentioned Quantum Leap.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Good one. She said Spider-Man, but didn't mention whether it was the, Spider-Man.
Well, that's the best one, so it's going to be that one.
Well, I do have a soft spot for Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, but there's one thing, and I even did start a change.org petition for it, was... I want, in the third MCU Spider-Man movie, I want to see the Ramones cover of the classic Spider-Man theme song played in that movie. They've used the Ramones in the past two movies, in Homecoming and Far From Home. The third one needs to have the Spider-Man theme song.
Like over the end credits?
Yeah.
That'd be perfect.
That would be absolutely perfect. One thing she also mentioned as well, Twin Peaks.
Oh. Yeah.
Like the song... I respect David Lynch. I'm not a fan of his work.
You have to be in the mood. It's another one of those, you gotta be in the mood for it kind of things.
Yeah, and because, too often you hear people tend to not want to give their opinions about stuff, and I think it's more than okay to say, I don't like something.
Oh, yeah, if I don't like something, I'll tell you.
Yeah, and...
But there's a lot of stuff, though, that I may not want to watch just... at random. I just have to be in the right mindset for it. Mm-hmm. And for me, a lot of times that's like horror movies. I kind of have to be in the right mindset for them.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Or country music.
God. Country music.
Okay. The next choice, another former coworker, John Clough. The Greatest American Hero theme song.
That's a good one.
Because that's from Mike Post. That was actually on my list. Mike Post is to television music what John Williams is to movie music. Mm-hmm. Just, with the sheer... the LA Law theme song, the Rockford Files, Magnum P.I., Quantum Leap. More than likely, if people had a top 5 or top 10 listing a TV show theme... The A-Team. If people have a top 5 or top 10 list, I guarantee you there's going to be one Mike Post song on it. The Law and Order.
Oh, really?
Themes. He did all of the Law and Order theme songs.
So the dun-dun is him?
Yep. Dun, 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 dun,
well, I mean, like every time there's a break in the scenes,
Well,
they do that little.
Yeah, I think that is from him as well.
Dun, dun.
Yeah.
That's just like so Law and Order. Everybody knows.
All right, a couple more here from folks that submitted on social media, on Twitter. excuse me, a gentleman by the name of John Henry. His handle is at the John Henry, TheJohnHenry. He said Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I am not familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm familiar with the idea, but I don't know the theme song.
I'm in the same boat here. So I can't say up or down whether I would like it or not. I know it's generally...
It's a beloved series, though. There's a lot of people who like that show.
And that's cool. It's just something that never really tickled my fancy, so I've never really...
I've never been that really into anime personally, but yeah. I know there's a lot of people who like it, so...
And we have...
Thank you for participating.
Thank you. And we also have another fellow podcast out there, Cheap Seat Reviews, and their handle is at Cheap Seat Cast. They said the A-Team, great choice.
Of course.
But then they said Saved by the Bell, and I had to lose all respect for them.
Oh, well...
I'm kidding.
Saved by the Bell, it kind of falls into that story theme song, because I don't know if you're familiar at all with the lyrics and stuff. The lyrics are basically about, like, a typical morning, getting up and trying to get ready for school and be on time. And then then the chorus is, it's all right, because I'm saved by the bell. It's basically,
care. Yeah. I just don't care.
You don't like the show?
No.
That show is really iconic to a lot of people because there were a few that were, like, very special episodes where they talked about, like, important issues. Like, there's the classic episode
where the Elizabeth Berkley character took a bunch of pills.
Yeah, she got hooked on caffeine pills.
Yeah. And
she starts like, I'm so excited. And she's singing and freaking out. And yeah.
I think back to flashbacks from Showgirls. Oh my God. What a horrible fucking movie that was.
Oh, I love Showgirls. Showgirls is like one of my favorite bad movies.
It has some great actresses in it. I have a lot of respect and a movie crush on Gina Gershon. Always have, always will.
Yeah.
She was great, but just the director Paul Verhoeven, the writer Joe Esterhaus, just slimy. It creeped me out. But Paul Verhoeven did RoboCop. Total Recall, the horrible Starship Troopers.
I love Starship Troopers. You shut up.
That was
just... You're canceled, Tim. You're canceled.
Well, if we're gonna do that, I'll whip no. Anyway, let's get to my top 5 before I say something.
All right.
Anyway, my top 5. We'll go from 5 to 1 here. Number 5 for me is the theme song to a TV show that does not get enough praise, but it deserves a lot more. And it's a show called Sledgehammer.
Okay.
It was only on for 2 seasons. It was on ABC, and they showed it on Thursday nights in the 80s, which...
That was against Bill Cosby.
It was against the Cosby Show, so nobody was going to watch it.
Nobody's going to watch it. Sorry.
But if I had to describe the show for people, it's like if Get Smart and Dirty Harry had a baby, it would be Sledgehammer.
All right.
And Sledgehammer is actually Danny Elfman's first TV show theme song.
He is the king of theme songs, honestly.
Definitely is.
He's one of them.
Number 4 for me, I already mentioned it, The Greatest American Hero, Mike Post. Look at what's happened to me.
Yep.
The great song. Number 3, I hate the show. I couldn't tell you, apart from John Travolta's character Barbarino, anything about that show. But Welcome Back, Kotter.
Welcome Back, Kotter. Oh, yeah. That I like that show. I watched it in reruns as a child. And
hey, Mr. Kotter.
Yeah, but yeah, the theme song is iconic, definitely.
Yeah, it's from John Sebastian, who was also in The Lovin' Spoonful. And I guarantee if you don't think you've heard a Lovin' Spoonful song, you have and probably didn't realize it, because a lot of their main big hits, Do You Believe in Magic, they use in commercials. Stuff like that. So John Sebastian was actually at Woodstock as well. Wow. So very talented musician. Number 2 for me, Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away
from our singing?
Shut up. All right, number 1 for me. Number 1 with a bullet. You can't go wrong with Waylon Jennings and the Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, just those good old boys. Never mean no wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved the Dukes of Hazzard. It was the highlight of my Fridays as a child. I had a nightie that had a picture of the Duke boys on it in a big heart, and it said, "I love the Dukes of Hazzard." And I would be all excited because the show would come on, and I'd be all dressed in my nightie and all ready for bed, and I'd have to go to bed after the show was over.
Oh.
But, yeah, I love the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, and obviously...
It was a terrible show. I've watched it since I've grown up. It was really not a very good show, but boy, I loved that show.
Yeah, a product of its time. Do I think it could be rebooted? I do, but the thing that's going to go away first is going to be the General Lee.
Oh yeah, that's problematic.
If that went away, I think it could be rebooted and be a nice, goofy family show. You could have somebody like Garth Brooks as the narrator or somebody like that.
Know what? Here's an idea. Let's not reboot any more shows. Let's come up with some new shows.
Well, anyway, that was. I get your point there, but that was my top 5 list. So,
or how about like Drag Race Southern Bells? I'd watch it.
Okay. Well, let's move on. Last week we started a new segment on a show here where we review an album that means something to us. I went first with the Rolling Stones' "Tattoo You." It's now Kim's turn.
It's my turn.
Hooray!
And we're going to be talking about 9 Inch Nails, Pretty Hate Machine, their very first album. And I'll give you the background on it. For me, this album came out when I was in high school. I think it came out before I was a senior, but we all heard about it. See, this is pre-internet. You got to realize, this is like 1990, 1991. So this was before the internet was a thing. We heard about albums by word of mouth, or if it was on the radio.
Ooh.
This was not on the radio.
You had to work to find the good songs.
We had to work to find this one.
Yeah.
So there was no alternative station in Portland at the time. That came towards the middle of 91, when the precursor to 94.7 came on the air. But yeah, this was when I was 17, 18, and there was a couple of all-ages dance clubs in Portland, and they were playing Had Like a Hole in the club, and everyone was like, "Bow down before the one you serve." What's with these lyrics? What? Wow, it's very dancey. What is this? Everybody was like, "What is this?" We all found out what it was. We all went to all the independent record stores in Portland, because there were a lot at the time.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many. Oh my god, I missed them all. We got copies of the CDs, and of course, because we were cheap and young and poor, we made copies on cassette tapes. Cassette tapes, those were a thing. We made copies to cassette tapes and shared them around.
Oh, what I used to do, and people of like age probably done the same thing. I would, like if I heard a song I liked on the radio, I would, use a cassette tape to record that song and essentially make my own albums.
Yeah, we would do that. I would do that too all the time. That was a good way to spend my Saturdays when I was supposed to be cleaning my room.
The origins of the mixtape.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a good way to waste time while I was supposed to be cleaning my room on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be listening to the radio and taping songs off of it. But anyway, so this album came out, and it was, at the time, I was experimenting with different types of music. I had heard of, I had been exposed to the Ramones and the Sex Pistols a few years before that, and I really liked both of those bands. And I was, as we do as kids, we were all into stuff that was on the radio, but we were all trading around tapes and Depeche Mode and The Cure and all this stuff. And then 9 Inch Nails was different. It was very, it's considered industrial by some folks, but it's not hard industrial. It's more, because it's very synthesizer based, drum machine based. There's a few samples thrown in there. But what really got me about this album were the lyrics, because it was really dark. A lot of songs are very dark and very unhappy, and it was, outside of The Cure's Disintegration, this was one of the first really unhappy albums I'd listened to, And I was at that age where you feel things, you really feel those things. And there were times when I would have kind of depressive episodes that I didn't really recognize as depressive episodes at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But with the hindsight of, hindsight is 2020, I can look back and go, wow, I was really not a happy kid sometimes. And I would spend a lot of time in my room by myself listening to music and writing very dark poetry and writing in my journal and stuff like that. So this was one of those albums that I really identified with, and as I was re-listening to it again, I was surprised at how much of the songs I still was able to just sing along with from memory.
For this, I'll put it out there like this. I mean, we've already talked about it in this episode and in previous episodes as well. I'm going to give my take on the album as well. And I may be a little sarcastic, but Kim also knows that it's not coming from, a place of me being a total
And
asshole.
besides, you can go back and listen to last week's episode where I basically destroyed Tim's heart by not liking his pick of the Rolling Stones.
It was a great album, damn it, no. When it comes to Nine Inch Nails, I have nothing but respect for Trent Reznor. There are some songs from Nine Inch Nails that I absolutely love. Closer, Hurt, The Perfect Drug. I love that song.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care for this album. I didn't like it at all.
This is a departure from pretty much all of his other work. This was his first go around, and I love his later work too.
Mm-hmm.
I have really enjoyed listening to his not taste, but his repertoire expand. Well, he's scored some movies,
mm-hmm.
and the movie scores that he has done have been really good.
Yeah, he works with David Fincher, so he does some really good quality stuff.
His score for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo was outstanding.
Yeah,
that was very well done. But this is a lot different than all of the work that comes after. It's his first go around. You could tell he was kind of learning his instruments.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. And I was reading some history of the things that he was using. He used like a very early Macintosh for a lot of this. And you can hear it, but you can also hear the passion and the darkness that he carried through and fuels his later work.
Yeah.
And that passion and that darkness are the things that resonated with me at the time.
Well, let's go through track by track and talk about, you'll talk about what you thought about each track, and then if I have some thoughts, I will say them as well.
All right. Let me pull up my track list. Track 1, Head Like a Hole. I think most everybody's heard that song at least once.
Yeah.
What was your take on it?
That's the only song from the album that I have any sort of semblance of liking. But it does bring me back though, because that was one song that, when I was a kid, for most of my education, I was in Christian schools. I say that with, quotation marks. And, a lot of times that was during the era, the late 80s and early 90s, where you still had, parents trying to lecture you that, Satan is involved in this work. And, you just, with stuff like this, you would get a lot of lectures about, you shouldn't listen to that type of music because that's not what Jesus would like. And, I remember getting this long lecture from another friend about going to see Kiss in concert. And
oh, jeez.
I just had to be like, fuck you. You're acting like a pretentious bastard trying to, say something's dark. Now, now as a parent myself, the only thing I would be a little cautious of is that, if for like my 13-year-old, for instance, Luke, if he were listening to this, then maybe I'd do a little digging to find out if maybe there's some other, like you mentioned, depression issues going on as well, because sometimes kids tend to, when they are in a depressive state, gravitate towards entertainment that reflects that. I did at that age, and
I know I did, yeah.
So, that I would be concerned about that. So, but just the whole, anytime anybody when I was a kid lectured me, like my mother would always badmouth Kiss and Ozzy. Two of my first concerts were Kiss and Ozzy. It would just never work. So that brought me back. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Well, the thing is with this song too is that the lyrics, the the lyrics they're very sexual to some extent. They're not overtly sexual, but you can hear it in the bass and everything. You can.
Yeah, it didn't get overt until the downward spiral.
Yeah. And when I was first listening to this, I was at the age where you're just you're still exploring and experimenting and trying to really determine where your sexual spectrum is. Mm-hmm. And hearing like the bow down before it, that was really subversive to me. My suburban 17-year-old ears hadn't heard something like that before. It was very like, oh my.
You gotta say it like George Takei.
To quote George Takei, oh my. Yeah. It was definitely an oh my moment for me hearing that song. And I know my friends and I were just kind of like, wow, what is this? We need to hear this. We need to know more. And we went out and we all found the album, we found the CD, and we made copies and passed it around the school. And a friend of mine was in the graphic arts program at our high school, and they could silkscreen t-shirts. He made us all bootleg Nine Inch Nails shirts. We all bought like black t-shirts, and he made us bootleg Nine Inch Nails shirts, and we were just like super happy about that.
And if Trent Reznor ever listens to this, he'd be like, those fuckers, I'm gonna get my money back. You know?
Yeah, we made our bootleg Nine Inch Nails shirts, and we wore them with pride, and we were just like, yeah, Nine Inch Nails! And people were like, 9 Inch Nails? What the heck? Yeah. Yeah. So that's what Head Like a Hole started for everybody.
All right.
Second song, Terrible Lie. This one, You know, I like the lyrics. I was listening with a more critical ear this past week, and it's very angry. I mean, the big line is, "You owe me a great big apology." It's like someone lied. Someone lied to him big time. He's pissed.
This song came off to me, I mean, the music itself really sounded like a Paula Abdul song.
Really?
It did. And the lyrics and just the singing, and this happened throughout the entire album. It just really comes across like a 16-year-old boy named Trent got his heart broke by a girl named Debbie, and he is grabbing, the first album he can and making up his own lyrics along with like a just talking about the deep despair in his soul, and he's only 16 and lives in an upper middle class family. It doesn't seem genuine. It just seems this doesn't seem genuine compared to something like Closer does. Yeah. It doesn't seem genuine like Hurt, his later music. This just it's kind of like when I watch Chasing Amy, the movie. Chasing Amy is the perfect encapsulation of how naively arrogant you can be in your 20s. It's a great movie, but I can't stand to watch it now because I, was not a good person in my 20s, so I don't want to relive that,
Yeah, that's kind of what this song is for me. I did note myself on the second go-around. I skipped it because I'm like, this isn't, it was never one of my favorite songs, mm-hmm. and I was just like,
But there is one thing I did notice is that you can hear the origins of Closer.
Oh, yeah.
In that song.
Throughout all of these songs, you can hear the beginnings of what would become future songs. Mm-hmm. The next song, Down in It, this is one of my favorites on the album. There were some dance remixes of it that were done that were good. This one and Sin both were done. They were remixed quite a bit. Down in It is kind of funny in a way because there was a friend of mine in college who had a habit of mishearing lyrics, and Down in It was one of them. She would always think that instead of, there's one part where he's like, I was up above it, and then it goes ch-ch, and then it's like, now I'm down in it. No, she thought he was saying, buy yourself a muffin. Yeah, buy yourself a muffin. Now I'm down in it. No. But yeah, seriously. Yeah, so I can't help but think of this song of Down in It as the muffin song.
The vocals, to me, it just came across like Christian rap.
Oh, yeah, I can see how you would think that.
I
kind of like the rappy part of it, though.
That, or, like those videos you would watch in, like, grade school of, people, like, rapping about the benefits of brushing your teeth. It just didn't. It wasn't.
Get yourself some toothpaste.
It just.
Now brush your teeth.
Yeah. It didn't seem genuine. I didn't care for it. So
yeah, I can see why you would say that, but now it's the muffin and toothpaste song. Get yourself some toothpaste.
Just anyway.
Sanctified is track 4. This is another one of those kind of throwaway songs for me, kind of like Terrible Lie. I mean, yeah, you listen to it and yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this one. Personally,
I'm not either, but one good thing I will say about it is that I did like the bass work in it.
Oh yeah, it's got some great bass work.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing with this song because like I was saying, you can hear the beginnings of a lot of other tracks in it, and he was definitely figuring out how to lay down bass lines and drum tracks and things like that all together, and so that makes some of the songs kind of hit or miss, but at the same time,
This is an interesting study, just like you would go back and listen to like the Beatles' first album, listen to the Rolling Stones' first album. Those first albums were nothing like their grand work that they created later on. But similar to Nine Inch Nails here, you can see the building blocks of what they ultimately became.
Yeah, and and it is a product of its time. At the time, there was nothing like this available that I can remember that I'd heard before. And then the club started going down the list of the club we all went down the list of other bands and people that Trent was working with at the time, like Al Jorgensen famously of Ministry, the folks from Skinny Puppy, stuff like that, and they started playing more of those songs. So what this whole album did for us is led us to other things. It is one of the albums that's the basis for my taste in music as it is today. And so, while Sanctified isn't my favorite track, it's another one of those building block tracks. However, the next song, Something I Can Never Have, it's very quiet and very sad and very gloomy. And I love it so much. Because it's so stereotypically whiny goth boy that I just love it because it fit so well at the time where I was pining. I was really terribly shy at the time. I was pining after a couple of folks and I couldn't have them, and I didn't know what I wanted because I didn't understand sex yet really, and it just encapsulated all of my frustration.
I thought the notes I have, dull and plotting, sounds like a 16-year-old who thinks he's deep. I just imagine him in front of his mirror, his bangs over his eyes, and he's like just wiping,
Pretty much, but that's why I loved it. That's why I still love it.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of how it feels to be that way. Track 6 is kind of the same thing, kind of. I Want To. It's not super slow, it's more dancey, but it's...
To me, that just sounded like a bad Depeche Mode ripoff. It did not seem original. It was the furthest thing from a Nine Inch Nails song I've ever heard.
Yeah, I could see where, like we've already said, it was one of the building blocks. It's him experimenting around. Okay, track 7, Sin. Now this is one of my favorite songs because I used to dance to this all the time at Quest. That was the name of the club. At Quest. And I love this song. There are some fabulous remixes of it out there.
Me, the notes I wrote, fun with Casio keyboards. It sounded like somebody bought a Casio keyboard and just decided to play with every single setting. And I also wrote too that the sound overall, it sounds like a boy band had a baby with Rammstein.
Rammstein wasn't a thing yet, but I could see where you're getting that from. Yeah,
Anyway,
but yeah, it comes down to this, Your Kiss. That's one of the lines from the song, and it also comes down to it was a time when budding sexuality. I had a boyfriend at the time I was fooling around with. We're experimenting.
You were.
I know, and it's just when
your dad will listen to this, be like, "What the fuck was his name?"
No, no. But yeah, it's that sort of.
Okay.
Yeah, Okay, so track 8 and track 9, that's what I get, and the only time. Both of these. Okay, so that's what I get. I think we can just skip that one. That's another throwaway track I didn't really...
The only note I had about that is that the opening to that song really sounded like the intro to Jan Hammer's Miami Vice theme song.
Oh,
it really comes across. It's very similar. Maybe similar tempo, similar notes or something like that, but you put them two together and you can see there are some similarities.
Okay, so for that's... I'm trying to get that... sorry, I'm having a brain fart. 9, the only time. The thing about the only time is there's the line about the devil wanting to fuck you in the back of his car. Because, see... It's all like, lay my hands on... No. I don't have any songs about this fucking the devil in the back of a car. No, but lay my hands on heaven and the sun and the moon and the stars while the devil wants to fuck me in the back of his car. See, I'm doing this from memory. That's how many times I have listened to these songs. So, that was shocking to me at the time. Being so young and so naive. Oh my gosh. But, I listen to that song now and I'm like, why did I like this song? But I could see it being a pretty good stripper song.
Well, the note I had is that this is another one that really you could hear the building blocks of what the song Closer became.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Closer, that's the perfect stripper song right there.
Well,
I mean, a song about hardcore fucking, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, it's definitely a precursor to Closer, and I think that's one of the reasons why I liked Closer so much is because, it was a accumulation of a lot of little bits and pieces of some of these songs where he's just kind of experimenting with, like, how dirty can I be? How nasty can I be? How far can I push the sexual theme? And then he pushed it, and because Closer is on which album?
Downward Spiral.
Downward Spiral, which also has the names of the songs are escaping me.
And you call yourself a fan.
I know. The song about leaving the trail, the snug snail trail. I can't remember the name of this song. Anyway.
If we remember, we'll bring it up next week.
Yes. So, it all kind of... You can see the progression. You can hear the progression. The last song, Ring Finger. This is one of my favorites, honestly. I like the kind of poppy disco beat that it starts off with. And actually, one of the local TV stations used that music in one of their promos for a long time. Because it sounds very, like, kind of generic.
That intro went on for way too long.
It does go on, and that's why someone used it as TV music.
I mean,
because it was just long enough for that.
And the other thing is the vocals really came across like it was a parody of a Nine Inch Nails song. Kind of like when you have Weird Al Yankovic with the song "Smells Like Nirvana," which is essentially "Smells Like Teen Spirit," but it's just off enough. It had that. I again didn't care for it.
Yeah, I think just because there's parts of it where he's just kind of, like, offer flesh and, carved in flesh and bone, offer it to me, just, basically, Trent went through some kind of shitty breakup before he wrote this whole album.
I've never had that happen ever.
No, none of us ever. You know what? None of us know what it's like to be Trent Reznor. No, None of us know what it's... Everybody knows what it's like to go through some kind of heartache, some kind of heartbreak, where you feel like everything's just been ripped out and thrown on the floor, and you had to scoop it all up and try and make it fit again. And that's a hard, long process, and it's a hard, long process, and this was a soundtrack for many a breakup for me. This album has been a soundtrack for many breakups, and Ring Finger is one of those songs that if I am making a breakup mixtape, put it on it.
Well, speaking of that, since we're done recording the album, next week will be my pick.
We're done recording the album?
No. recording the episode. You know what I mean.
We're getting punchy here.
We're wrapping up. Yeah. No, neither of us have been drinking. I swear.
No,
but
no.
you know,
we're high on life.
Wink. No. No. Yeah. So thank you for your choice this week.
Yeah. I mean, what it came down to is, I know it's not the best album ever made by Nine Inch Nails, but it's one of those that had and still does have a lot of meaning for me, and
that's the whole point of what this segment
exactly.
Is. It's I mean, we're some of the album choices that we pick are over time probably seem a little odd at times,
and they seem dated. This definitely seems dated, but at the same time, it takes me back and it makes me remember what it's like to be that age again. Yeah, because this was released technically in 1989. That's a long time.
30 years of Nine Inch Nails.
30 years of Nine Inch Nails. Can you guys imagine what life without Nine Inch Nails? I cannot, because it's been part of my life for so long.
And the fact, and it says something too about Nine Inch Nails and about the quality of their work.
And about Trent Reznor in general.
When you can have someone of the legendary status like Johnny Cash take one of their songs and create something new with it, essentially. That to me shows the work of a great artist overall. I mean, when it comes to both, I mean, it's like Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan wrote a lot of great songs, but there are a lot of great artists who did some great work with his songs as well. Like All Along the Watchtower, if you listen to Bob Dylan's version and Jimi Hendrix's version, two different songs. They're really two different songs. They both did massively different things with them, but yeah, you can never tell. So,
and the fact that Trent Reznor and the whole Nine Inch Nails project, he has evolved his sound. He's learned new things. He's, technology has changed and evolved along the way as well. I'm sure that he can now work with state-of-the-art whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he's branched out into scoring movies is huge. It speaks to the fact that he does have quite a bit of talent and should be respected as such. And so while this album isn't necessarily his best work, it was his first work and has a special place in my heart.
Yep.
Always will.
All right, so next week, our next segment is going to be an album of my choosing.
Uh-oh, what do I have to listen to this time? See, he hasn't told me yet, so I have no idea.
Well, I got a few choices here of what I can go through next.
What you can subject me to is what you're saying.
Not that. My goodness.
How can I torture Kim this week?
Well, let's do something that if my mother were alive, she would appreciate.
Oh.
Let's do a country album.
Oh, God, really?
Let's do Waylon and Willie. The first time they both did an album together.
Okay.
That's the album where Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys came from. And I will have a lot of... I'll have some stories. And I know my sister will be sitting back listening to wondering what stories I will bring up on this. But yeah, I'll have some stories.
I am really not a fan of country music. I'll just put that out there. But I do appreciate a few country artists.
Mm-hmm.
I think mostly what it is I don't like modern country music.
I agree.
I like a lot of older stuff, which is kind of country, like Patsy Cline, and I like Johnny Cash, that sort of thing. So, and I do like Willie Nelson, so maybe this won't be so bad. But
and Waylon Jennings. I mean, it's the thing about them both that I liked. This was during the highlight.
Let's not get into too much detail.
Well, I'm not going to go into detail specifically about the album. What I'm saying is that this album represents the highlight of what is called outlaw country.
Okay.
You know, that kind of broke away, because country has had, even back into its earlier days, and there's one documentary I really want to see that debuted recently on PBS, a Ken Burns documentary on country music. But from the earliest, they have had problems of expecting their mainstream artists to look a certain way, to write songs in a certain way, and to appeal to a very particular demographic. Whereas you have someone like Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson fought against that. You know, I mean, the fact that they both had the long hair, they had the bushy, you know, facial hair, they dressed normally, they didn't have the garish, you know, silly country outfits that you can even see today. Their songs were relatable, you know, and we'll go into it obviously much deeper next week, but there's a lot I think you may enjoy. And even if you ultimately don't like it, it meant a lot to me, and that's why we're going to talk about it.
Okay. Sounds good.
So with that, another episode of Friends Talking Nerdy is complete. We thank you all for listening. I think what I realized this week, I do think Fridays may be the best day for us to release an episode. So shall we sit? Let's make it. I'll ask you. Do you think Fridays will be a good release date? What day would you like?
I honestly don't have a preference. We'll just because we want to do is try and get on a regular schedule here.
Yeah. And
releasing on a regular basis so we can appeal to more folks and build up an audience.
Yeah, and it's important. For me, I do think it is important to have one day to where people can expect it if they are coming. So we can discuss this more. But, you know, so if you're listening to this, it's on the first day it comes out. It's a Friday. We will see you next week.
Yes, we'll see you next week.
If I don't choke on this, whatever. I eat a lot of eggs, so. All right. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
If your friends are nerdy and you are nerdy too, I want to talk to you. Friends Talking Nerdy.
Subscribe to Friends Talking Nerdy on iTunes, the Google Play Music Store, as well as Spotify. Remember to support Friends Talking Nerdy on Patreon. Goodbye, darling.